I started working in business from the time I was 17 years old. Actually, I was still in high school and became more and more successful. I became responsible for almost all business services, was elevated to senior vice president of a $500 million company. And boy, from the world's eyes, I was one lucky dude. I made it. But deep inside was this hollowness. I was searching for happiness in success, happiness in money, happiness in the affluence of flying first class every week from one place to another. I was almost drunk on that success. Deep inside though, my heart was crying. And during this time I met Stephanie. We dated for about a year, and it's about a year later we got married. Stephanie brought a new perspective to my life. She's a professional, she's a dentist. She was a strong Christian. The first time we walked into Northway, we were just so impressed. The people welcomed us. There's two things that really impressed me about Northway on that first day. One was the authenticity of worship. Worship just means so much to me. And the genuineness of people. The Bible is replete with ways we should act as a Christian, how we should live a Christian life, how we should be serving others. Our life should be a shining example in this world. Boy, that really hit home. I had this emptiness inside me that needed to be filled, and this seemed to be the answer for me. This was like the big light going off in my head. I understood that even though I read my Bible every day, and even though I prayed every day and went to church, these are all things that were kind of building me up, but I had no way to really express what God did for me. And I began to understand that God gave me a talent that I was being very selfish with, that I wasn't using the way that He intended for me to use. The next step was a very big step for us. When I took that step to say that, God, I want you to use me in a way that I can never be used before, now was a call to action. So we prayed about it, and we approached the UPMC Medical Center about buying the practice that Steph was working at. This is our mission field right here. These are people that not only need dental care, but they need the Lord Jesus Christ. Six months after we purchased the practice from UPMC, we found out that the building that we were in was going to come down sooner than later. Of course, that created a whole host of problems for us, but we believed God was going to answer our prayers, and He was in control. So Steph and I were praying about where we should be located, and drove around the neighborhoods, walked around, seeking God's guidance. Drove back to the office and told Stephanie that at lunchtime, let's go out and see what's available, see what God has in mind for us. During the time I was gone, one of her patients had shared with her about a office that was for rent. So after lunch, we drove back to our old office and called a number. And the man on the other side was very apologetic, but he said, I'm sorry, all I have is a dentist office on the second floor. What an awesome God. We've been taught to serve with both hands. We are called to serve and meet the spiritual needs of our contacts, of the people the people God has given us. On the other hand, we're given responsibility to treat people with the gifts that God has given us. Patients come in and see us. One of the first questions that Stephanie asked is, what kind of problems are you having? Of course, she's referring to what kind of dental problems are you having? 9 times out of 10, people start telling her what problems they're having in their life. They're searching for somebody to listen to them, to understand and care about them. And God has showed us now that our ministry goes beyond just our patients. It goes to everybody we have contact with. It goes to our employees, to our vendors, to those who we just happen to be in contact with in association with the business.
I want to thank you so much for transforming me from an ugly duckling into a beautiful swan. And I just want you all to know that everything you have done for me is greatly appreciated. Without you, I never would be able to stand up on my own 2 feet and fight for my dreams. You all have meant so much to me. I believe every one of you is an angel sent from God to bring me from crawling to standing tall. I feel I was never here to work. He sent me to be healed. I must have done something right because he's leading me out of the wilderness into the promised land. Thank you so much for taking me to the next level. I just love him. I really do.
Most dentists see 8 to 10 patients a day. We need to see 25 or 30 a day. You know, serving God comes at a cost, but it's well worth it. People often ask Steph and I, aren't you afraid to work in a place like this? Our response always is, there's no safer place to be than in God's will.